A very good evening, Bhante Professor Yasassi, dear devotees. Welcome to the Buddhist Maha Vihara's Friday BMV Dhammadana series, Dhamma Talk. Let me introduce Bhante to those of you who are not familiar with Bhante. Now, Bhante has been here many times. He's been a regular visitor to Buddhist Maha Vihara and has given numerous talks over the years. Coincidentally, he's the youngest professor, I think still, in Sri Lanka at the moment. So that's a feather in his cap, even though he's got no cap. So Bhante Yasassi is a professor in Buddhist civilization at the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura in Sri Lanka. He obtained his BA Honours First Class in Buddhist Civilization and a PhD from the same university. He has also successfully completed 2 master's degrees in Masters of Arts in Buddhist Studies from the University of Kelaniya and the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. He is the founder and director of the International Buddhist Research Center and also the co-secretary of the Sri Lanka Association of Buddhist Studies. Bhante Professor Yasassi shares his knowledge as a visiting lecturer in many universities, both in Sri Lanka and around the world, including the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka, University of Kelaniya, and the Buddhist and Pali College of Singapore. As a scholar in Buddhist studies, he has authored several books and editions, and he's also authored several index and referred journals and articles and research articles, and has presented research papers at national and international conferences. So currently he's conducting lectures and Dhamma talks and public orations both locally and internationally. By the way, Bhante is also organizing a conference here at the Buddhist Maha Vihara next year to commemorate 130 years of the Buddhist Maha Vihara and also in memory of our late chief, Kesari Dhammananda Naikama Thera. So that's going to be held 30th and 31st, and the conference is going to be on the 1st of September of 2025. And he's the conference chair. So we're very glad Bhante has accepted that role, and we look forward to that conference, and also a publication that's going to come out to commemorate that conference. So without much ado, I would now like to invite Bhante to start this evening's Dhamma sharing, which I think is an interesting topic which most people are keen to know. It's Kamma and its results. Bhante?
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Leslie, for introduction. Dear devotees in the Dhamma, today you all are gathered in the puja hall of the Buddhist Maha Vihara to listen Dhamma sermon. I am very happy to be here once again to conduct a Dhamma sharing in front of the people like you, very smiling people. And today's Dhamma sharing is also a very interesting topic. We all are seeing a kind of diversity in the society. And also there is a stratification in the society in diverse ways. So according to Buddhism, what is the reason for having a diversity and stratification in the society is the main idea, main point that we are going to discuss through today's Dhamma sharing. As we know, Buddha was born in India 2600 years ago. By the time there were so many religious and philosophical teachings in India. Out of them, some were of the opinion that people were the society was created by a superhuman, omniscient God, which is known as Brahma. According to their belief, there were 4 types of people which made the society diverse. That was decided based on the place they were created by particular Brahma. So those who created from the mouth were known as the highest group of society in particular society. And those who were created from the shoulders were the second category, and those who were created from the thighs and the feet were considered the next hierarchy of the particular society. Simultaneously, they have introduced that different kinds of duties, obligations, rights, responsibilities, all the things to particular groups of society based on that creation theory. According to their teaching. So everything is not decided, everything is decided based on the will of the God, not will of the human being or someone else. So they said that the society can see a kind of stratification, a diversity because of the creation theory. But Buddha has clearly mentioned that that is not the reason for having a kind of stratification in the society because of creation theory. By giving different arguments like biological arguments, historical arguments, sociological arguments, ethical arguments, as well as legal arguments, Buddha tried to emphasize that the reason why there is an stratification in the society, that is not because of the influence of any other superhuman being, but because of the ethical factors, ethical behavior of the individual. As an instance, Buddha pointed out in Vasala Sutta, Vasala Sutta is the discourse related to outcast. It clearly emphasizes that najaccha vasalo hoti, najaccha hoti brahmano. One cannot be recognized as an outcast based on their birth. Similarly, one cannot be recognized as a higher caste by considering their birth. The main factor to determine whether they are higher class or the lower class would be decided based on the behavior of the individual. Kammana vasalo hoti, kammana hoti brahmano. Kammana means because of the action. So therefore, Buddhism has clearly emphasized that the differentiation or the diversity occurs in society not because of the birth but because of the human action. So this Chullakamma Vibhanga Sutta, which is found in Sutta Pitaka Majjhima Nikaya 3rd section, Uparipannasaka Vibhanga Vagga, this Chullakamma Vibhanga Sutta clearly emphasized, Buddha has analyzed the reasons for why we can see the diversity and stratification in societies. As an instance, if I ask question, are all human beings equal? No. From their appearance, no equal, right? Some of them are fair, while others are like me. It means that there is some differentiation. And in the sense of the wealthiness, all are not equal. Some are very rich, while some others are poor. Some are very knowledgeable, while others are foolish, not knowledgeable in that sense. As well as some of them are maintaining a lone life, while some others are ending their life as an infant, or they are different different ages of their lifetime. Maybe in young period, something like that. They are having a low and less lifespan. So this is the diversity. So then, once when the Buddha was living in Jetavana, the Savatthi, the Jeta's grove, the Anathapindika's monastery, one Brahmin student known as Subha approached the Buddha. He had this question, why people are diverse? Why people are diverse in that way, in that sense? With that question, this particular householder, Subha, approached the Buddha, having respected, venerated the Buddha, having paid homage to the Buddha, he raised that question in front of the Buddha. The question was, what is the cause, the Gautama, what is the reason why even among those who are human beings, some are seen to be inferior and superior? Inferior and superior, these are the two ends. Inferior can be defined with the wealth, the lifespan, beauty, knowledge, or whatever. Superiority, right? Inferiority can be determined based on the based on the poverty, based on the foolishness, based on the complexion, based on the knowledge they have. This is the diversity. So the question raised by the householder Subha was, Venerable Buddha, the Gautama, what are the reasons and what are the causes for having such kind of differentiation? He further elaborated certain questions. Why certain people are living a short life, whereas certain people are maintaining a lone life? Why some people are sickly, while others are healthy? Why some people are ugly, while others are very beautiful? What is the reason for some people to be insignificant, and while others are illustrious? And poor and rich, low and eminent families, witless and wise. These are the different diverse factors that can be identified among the people of the society, right? Can you see this kind of stratification? Yes. Even among everyone we have, right? Not all are equal to each other. There is such a differentiation. So the question raised by the householder was, what is the reason for that? What is the cause for that? Then Buddha said, Buddha had given a direct answer, Kammasaka manava satta kamma yoni kamma bandhu kamma patisarana. It means the human beings are maintaining their diversity based on the kamma. You know, kamma means action. It is completely related to the behavior and ethics. So Buddha said that Kammasaka manava satta, people are subjected to the action. Kamma dayada, they have received what they have maintained as a inheritance. Kamma bandhu, the action would be the relative who is following you. And kamma patisarana, the action kamma would be the same one and only, the kamma would be the reason for having such kind of differentiations. Having elaborated that householder wanted to further clarification in front of the Buddha. Then the discourse elaborated by the Buddha by explaining all these factors is included in the Chulla Kamma Vibhanga Sutta. You know, the term Vibhanga means analysis. Kamma Vibhanga means analysis on action. Analysis of action. How human behavior, human action is analyzed, is clearly emphasized in this discourse. So now the problem is whether everything happens according to kamma. Whether everything happens according to kamma. There are certain situations like, you know, some Western scholars are of the opinion that certain countries are still poor because of the kamma. Kamma is used to denote a negative sense for some times. But it is not the reason. When flooding or the natural disasters come in over and over, someone can interpret this as because of those things are happening because of the kamma, right? But it is not the reason like that. So Buddha has pointed out that there are 5 types of factors. There are 5 types of factors at work in cosmos that cause things to happen, called the 5 niyamas. You know, niyama is certain determined factors. Out of them, kamma is only one of those factors according to the Buddha's teachings. The first one is called Utuniyama, is the natural law of non-living matters. Example? What are the examples? As instance, you know, the flooding, having typhoon, which makes so many problems, as well as having certain, you know, natural disasters, that those are coming under the natural law. That is not because of the kamma. But there are certain issues that we have to face, which happens because of the natural law, and certain changes happens in the natural law. Bija niyama is the law of living matter, what we would think of as biology. The Pali word bija means seeds, right? When we plant a particular seed, it grows a same tree, right? Same plant. While planting one seed, we cannot accept another kind of plant. In that way, bija niyama, the giving the equal result based on what we plant or something. Then Dhamma niyama is the natural spiritual law. For example, the Buddha's teachings on anatta, no self, sunyata, emptiness, and marks of existence would be part of Dhamma niyama. They are something like, the doctrinal law, spiritual law. And the Chitta niyama is the law of mental activity, something like psychology. It concerns consciousness, thoughts and perceptions of the particular individual. Then the fifth one is called Kamma niyama. Kamma niyama is recognized as the human action. So, according to Buddhism, everything doesn't happen because of the Kamma. We should keep it in our memory. So the Kamma is given 1 out of 5. That is why Buddha has pointed out one can change, one can overcome even certain difficulties in our life because of the technological advancement, our own effort, working hard as well. So therefore, everything doesn't happen based on Kamma. Some people are very lazy and they try to interpret everything under the Kamma, right? That everything happens because of my bad Kamma. Therefore, it is useless of working hard, being determined, or doing something like, one can change. No, there is no such a thing. But we have to be very careful in analyzing the human action or the Kamma. So basically, what is known as Kamma? Buddhism says that it has given an interpretation that Kamma is the volition. Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami. Kamma is the volition. Volition means the thoughts that arises in our mind. How we put in our physical body into action according to the commands given by our mind, right? So Buddha mentions that mind is forerunner. Therefore, mind creates volition according to psychology, and even the Buddhist psychology says that Chitta, Mano, Vijnana. There are 3 terms like Chitta, Mano, Vijnana. All are getting together and which creates certain volitions. Then according to the nature of those volitions, we categorize them into 2 different categories known as wholesome and unwholesome. Wholesome volition means Kusala Chetana. We call Kusala Chetana. Unwholesome volition means akusala chetana. You suppose that when you are thinking, it comes to your mind certain volitions like greediness, hatred, delusion, proudness, or the whatever such kind of negative volitions, negative thoughts. There are also certain volitions occurred in our mind, but they are negative, right? Then when our mind is responding to such kind of negative volitions or the unwholesome volitions, our mind order us, direct us to do certain bad things, bad activities, bad actions. As instance, when your mind is corrupted with, hatred, ill will, then mind gives us commands to do harmful to someone else, right? Then what happens? We try to use our physical body, both hands as well as both legs, even our physical strength, also our mouth, to harm someone else. Who has given the command? By the mind. That is why Buddha has pointed out that Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami, volition is the kamma. That our physical behavior, what are the words we come out from our mouth, is depend on how we maintain our mind, thought patterns, mindset. Similarly, when kusala chetana, when there arises wholesome thoughts in our mind, like gratefulness, non-greediness, non-hatredness, or the compassionate thoughts, non-violent thought, as well as loving kindness thoughts, generosity, generous thoughts, something like that, our mind direct us to do some kind of good deeds. Then our action would be positive actions we perform, positive actions in that sense. So that is why Buddha has clearly emphasized that Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami, the volitions, or monks, I explain that volition is the kamma. And how we put in that volitions into action, chetayitva kammang karoti, just making imaginations on one's own mind. By thinking, we put those volitions into action. Then based on the actions, we classify them under wholesome or unwholesome, like that. From where we do actions, Buddha said, Chetayitva kammang karoti, kayena, vachaya, manasacha. There are 3 places we do certain wholesome and unwholesome actions. What are they? Kayena means the physical body, our physical body. Vachaya, our speech. And manasacha, our mind. Basically, physical actions, verbal actions, and mental or psychological actions. So what are the physical actions we do? Like, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, such kind of 3 types of unwholesome deeds. And while we do certain verbal unwholesome deeds, we try to tell lies, covetousness, as well as certain divisive words, something like that. We do harsh words and rough words, which can be considered as the harmful to someone else and the oneself and the others. And mentally we do some certain greediness, hatredness and delusion. These are considered the 10 unwholesome deeds. So we do such things based on the unwholesome volitions and their orders given by our own mind. Similarly, Buddha said, if someone put in one's own wholesome volitions into action, they will do wholesome deeds like refraining from killing, which means practicing loving kindness to everyone. So we have to start from oneself first, right? Ahang avero homi. I am loving kindness. I practice loving kindness to oneself first. Why? Most probably we try to pay loving kindness to others, but they are not love to oneself, right? If a question raised, to whom do you mostly love? What would be the answer? Someone may say that I love so much for my husband or my wife, my children, even my parents, like that. But according to Buddhist way of spreading loving kindness is one should love to oneself first, because those who are not able to love oneself cannot extend others. That is why it has given a sequence order. Like first we should love oneself and our nearest and dearest people who are living with us. And then should extend to our relatives, our neighbors, the people who are living surrounding oneself, and the people who are living in one's own country and one's own continent, and then should extend loving kindness to entire the universe. So starting from oneself, one who cultivates such kind of mentality can extend loving kindness to others. That is how Buddha has pointed out, ahang avero homi, abhyapajyo homi, something like that. Starting from oneself, then should try to extend the others. However, this analysis is clearly emphasized in this sutta when the question raised by the householder Subha, Buddha pointed out that sentient beings are the owners of their deeds, Kamma. And here to their deeds. Deeds are their womb, their relative, and their refuge, because the Kamma is the reason for having such kind of different situations in samsaric existence. Further, Buddha has pointed out that causes for short-lived and long-lived. These are certain stratifications, right? There are some people who are having a long life, whereas some people are having a short life, which ends their life as an infant, even sometimes within the mother's womb, without looking at this world, right? And even their young period, middle age, and old age, something like that. There is the diversity. And Buddha has emphasized that why people are having such a diversity in their lifespan. What can be the reason? Buddha said that one who has committed the unwholesome deed like killing living creatures. In their previous births, previous samsaric life is the main cause for determining our own lifespan. Those who have done violence over the others, those who have bloody-handed by killing, harming, or doing whatever the violent over the others, a hardened killer, merciless to living beings, is considered the reason for having a short life according to the Buddha. Further, Buddha pointed out that those who perform in that way after their death, they will be born in woeful places such as Niraya. Niraya means the apaya, which we call the hell. Why it is called Niraya? Niraya means Niraya. Aya means the sorrow. Or the Aya means happiness. The realm where there is no happiness is called Niraya, because they are painful and sorrowful and lamentation over that particular realm. Even the other 4 types of realms, like 4 types of apaya, we call that Niraya. Tirachana means the animal realm. Peta realm, like hungry ghost realm. And the Asura, the beings, group of beings who are lower to gods. So they are considered the places where they will be born in certain such kind of woeful places as a result of committing those bad and unwholesome behavior. Further, Buddha has pointed out that if they did not birth in such kind of woeful places, you suppose that such a person, because of a previous Kamma, was born in a human realm, what will happen? They will be born as a person who maintains short-lived. Their lifespan is less than the others. Why? They have lost the life of the others in their samsaric existences, samsaric previous births. As a consequence, they have lost their lifespan according to the Buddha's teachings. On the other hand, those who refrain from killing, and those who practice loving kindness to others, avoiding killing and harming to others, definitely they will be born in the pleasureful places such as heavenly places, human realm, or the Brahma worlds, such kind of higher planes, higher places according to the Buddha's teachings. Also, when they are coming to the human society, they will have a lone life because of the cultivation of loving kindness, non-violent, and towards the oneself and the others. That is the reason for having such kind of differentiation based on the lifespan. Secondly, Buddha has pointed out there are certain individuals who are sickly while others are healthy. When we are going to a hospital, we can see certain infants, like during their childhood they are facing different kinds of, diseases, illnesses. They are suffering from different kinds of illnesses from their birth sometimes. Even their young period, they are affecting very dangerous diseases. They are maintaining a sickly life. While there are certain characters, even though they are in old age, still remains without such deadly sicknesses, diseases, rather than the physical, weakness. So those two can be seen in our society itself. So the question was, what is the reason for having such different types of people? The Buddha said that one or the woman or a man who habitually hurts living creatures with a fist, stone, rod or sword because of hurting others, making damages to others' life, giving harassments to others' life. As a result of that, they will be born in woeful places like what I mentioned earlier, 4 hells. If they come to the human world, definitely they will have a sickly life. They will have some kind of diseases. They may arise even with the birth or the childhood, even young period, something like that. So we don't know when that happens, but that karma would be effective whenever in next births itself. So Buddha said that therefore one should refrain from hurting, harassing, or making damages to others, mentally or physically, and one should try to cultivate the loving kindness and compassionate towards everyone, so that having a very good birth hereafter. And also, if they were born in the human realm, so that maintaining a healthy life without pain, without sorrow, without lamentation, without grief, so that maintaining such a very serene, calm and healthy life, one should avoid hurting others, harassing others, making the harassments. Always should try to maintain the compassionate thoughts. And Buddha said that those who refrain from such kind of bad behavior would experience in such a healthy life, according to the Buddha. And further, the next question raised by the householder was, why some people are not fair, whereas others are beautiful? So what can be the reason the Buddha like that the householder raised? Buddha pointed out that one who has irritable and bad tempered, right? One who has practiced ill will, hatred, and also always with covetous mentality, and also like certain, like divisive intention, working on the divisive intention, they will be, because of their temper, becoming annoyed, hostile and hard-hearted and displaying annoyance, hate and bitterness. They will be born in such kind of woeful places hereafter. Otherwise, if they come to the return to the human realm, definitely they will have ugly. Ugly is not because of something like complexion, right? The complexion is something different. But ugly means just to see certain diverse, like diverse in the physical ailments, like that. So Buddha has pointed out that even there are certain people who are not fair in complexion, right, like me, but looks like very, it is called fair because of the smiling and the appearance, how we maintain the friendliness, right? That is the way the Buddha says that complexion based on the complexion, one cannot be determined as ugly or beautiful. That is the genes, right? Because of the genes. If I was born in Malaysia or Singapore, definitely I would be like you. Because of the genes. That is the bija niyama. That is the bija niyama. No worry to be like that. Because that happened because of the genes. But what we say, like, one example. When once Arahant Moggallana went to the Preta world, hungry ghost realm, once he saw one of the female hungry ghost who had the mouth just as a pig. The pig's mouth, right? Her appearance was like that. Something like significance rather than the others. Whereas there were another hungry ghost, lady hungry ghost, whose mouth was very fair as a deity, but still they are in the hungry ghost realm. It is mentioned, so the reason why, since the one who had the face like a pig had committed certain unwholesome based on their mouth, since they had committed the unwholesome verbal actions, she had been in that way. So therefore, that is the reason Buddha said that. Therefore, we always should try to maintain very kind-hearted, right? Rather than always maintaining the hatred, ill will. Once a deity approached the Buddha and raised a question, from where does the hatred arises? What is the reason for arising hatredness? Then different people says different ideas, like, if I raise that question from you, why you are getting angry? You will give different answers, right? Because of my children, because of my wife or husband, because of my neighbors, I always get angry. There are certain cases, some people comes to have counseling, they says that when I see someone else, I just quickly get angry. Then we try to say that we get angry because of others' behavior or whatever in that way, right? Is it the real reason? No. Because we just create such kind of unwholesome deeds on oneself, within oneself. Buddha said that no one is responsible for that. You are the responsible for a rise in your own temperature, hatredness, ill will or whatever. Therefore, we should always try to maintain our mind free from anger. It means should try to maintain compassion, loving kindness, as well as non-hatredness. Then, as consequences of that, they will have a good birth hereafter. Otherwise, if they come to the human world, they will have a very beautiful or the pretty and very handsome physical appearance. We all are intending to how to maintain our physical appearance, right? We just try to do different kinds of, we are meeting the beauticians as well. Sometimes using different cosmetics. So it is something temporary. So that maintaining the same very pleasant appearance forever, what we have to do is, we should try to practice loving kindness, avoiding hatredness. That is why Buddha said that under one who practices loving kindness meditation, mukha vanno vippasidati. His face would be very serene, very beautiful, pretty and handsome because of the practicing of the loving kindness, right? Why? When we are maintaining loving kindness, when we are avoiding the hatredness, our mind is free from hatred, then it would be affected to our low pressure as well, the blood pressure as well. Then it indirectly, it just try to maintain the body, sustain the body inside. So that is why those who practice loving kindness meditation get such a very peaceful and pleasant appearance, right? Therefore, just try to do that, so that having a very pleasant appearance hereafter. That is the long-term and everlasting medicine for that, rather than doing certain temporary things, right? Then another question raised by the householder was causes for insignificant and illustrious. There are certain people who are well recognized in the society. Wherever and whatever the occasion they live, people will respect, honor, venerate, even they will accept such kind of people in respectfully, right? While some others are not in that way, insignificant and illustrious. Buddha said that the reason is maintaining jealous. Normally jealous is a kind of natural phenomenon, right? Rather than the arahants, jealous arises everyone because of different situations. So when a person maintains his or her mindset based on the jealousy, because of that, they will have such kind of illustrious or the insignificant situation in their sansaric life. Normally, it is not to be proud over one's own beauty, one's own skills, one's own qualifications or whatever, right? There are certain characters who are always thinking over that. And they try to condemn others while thinking one is the superior in all the aspects because of it can happen because of the jealous as well as the proud. The Buddha says that, Manena makato hoti atimanena kukkuro. When there is jealous or the proud, as a result, one can be born as a monkey. You know, monkey is one of the animal in the animal realm who is always maintaining proudness because of its ability to jump over here and there. Right? So one who maintains this mentality will be like that. Then atimanena kukkuro. Atimana means one who maintains the jealousy and the proudness. Proud over oneself, he will be born as a dog. Why? You know, the nature of the dog is, it doesn't allow anyone to come over one's own territory. If any other dog comes, what will happen? It just try to fight with him. They are very proud of their territory, right? So in that way, Buddha said, Atimane kukkuro, one who maintains more proud, more jealousy over the others, while illuminating oneself when they try to upgrade one's own status, show that it would be the reason for having such kind of births. So therefore, no need to be proud and jealousy over others' property, or others' things like that. We should try to live in this ground level, right? Then we don't have any place to fall down. When we are maintaining such kind of status, in that sense, definitely, it is something like, just pulling a rubber ball underneath the water, right? When we take our hand, the ball will come out. It cannot survive further. That's why even the Buddha practiced these qualities in his lifestyle. When he goes to alms round, he did not avoid any house in the street. He did not skip the beggars or the houses of the poor people. He just went his alms round house by house. Did not consider their dignity, their profession, or which kind of people they are. Never mind what those people are, Buddha accepted. That is how he practiced these great qualities. Therefore, when such a person practices those qualities, definitely they will have such kind of significant, wherever they go, wherever they are, they will be accepted by the community as well. Even if they were born in the divine realm, even there are two types of divine beings, Alpe Shakya, Maheshakya. Maheshakya means the higher level. Alpe Shakya means the lower level, right? Even the divine realm, there are two classes like that. So the reason is maintaining that way. So another, Buddha said that one should not jealous over the others. One should not maintain proudness and always should be calm and serene by their behavior. Further, Buddha said that how one can be born as a poor or rich. This is a very the crucial social problem throughout the world. There are some people who are billionaires, extravagant, right? While there are people who are maintaining their life under malnutrition because of the poverty. So when the Brahmin Subha raised that question, Buddha said that one who doesn't give to ascetics or Brahmins such things like food, drink, clothing and vehicles. These are the English translations. But basically says that 4 requisites like practicing generosity, chivara, providing robes or clothes, pindapata food, senasana means shelters, and the medication. Like, the requisites for the Brahmins and the recluses. One who practices generosity, definitely they will be born as rich in their sansaric existence. One who did not practice generosity will be born in otherwise, if they are born in the human world, they will be born in a poor family, like a poor. So what this emphasizes, Buddha says that what we seed, what we what we cultivate, the same result would be, harvest would be taken, right? We can bring them to house. When we plant paddy, the same paddy will be taken to one's own house as the harvest. Therefore, Buddha said that one who practices like certain generosity, that would be the reason for to be born in such kind of realms, as well as a human being, he will definitely become a rich person because of the practicing of generosity. There are certain individuals, by the time of the Buddha, there was one king, one person. He was a millionaire, we call Sethi. He had a lot of money and property, but he did not practice generosity. Then what happened was, in a life he became a millionaire, a richest person, but he could not consume those things by himself because of the greediness. Since they practiced the generosity, they received. But having practiced generosity, they did not rejoice over that. Even though they received, they could not consume themselves. Still they are having much property or money, they are still not rejoicing with what we have earned. Right? That is because of that. Then, while we are practicing generosity, we have to be rejoiced over them. With happy mood, happy mind, we have to do that. Otherwise, you will get, but you cannot consume. And also, Buddha said that we have heard so many things regarding the generosity and so on. I am not going to explain all these things. Just remind that, you suppose that you just take a plate of food in front of a mirror, what you will see? Your reflection will show you the same plate. Likewise, you will have all the things in the sansaric life while practicing generosity. Therefore, Buddha said that one always should try to be in that way. And also to be foolish and wise. who doesn't approach an ascetic or Brahmin to ask. It means that who does not listen to Dhamma, learn Dhamma, who is not interested in learning by approaching the ascetics or monks, who will not learn what is right and what is wrong, such people would be born with foolish minded, like witless. Whereas those who practice that, those who listen Dhamma means what is right and what is wrong. Just approach like you, the teachers, preachers, those who are showing the real teaching, showing the real path. So that would be the reason for being born as wise people according to Buddha's teachings. Therefore, Buddha said that. Now, these are the reasons for having different stratification in the particular society. While considering our own particular members of the society, we can see all these diversities, right? Even oneself, we can contemplate on oneself, one's own peers, one's own, the members of one's own society and one's own country. Then when we see such kind of, any kind of characters like that, we have to contemplate all the time, that is because of this and that. Therefore, we should always try to cultivate such kind of wholesome deeds. And we should try to cultivate good deeds physically, mentally and verbally. That would be beneficial for you to be born in heavenly pleasures hereafter. As well as if we have the life in the human realm, divine realm, or whatever higher realms, that would be a very beneficial for us to maintain a very good life, comfortable life, rather than the others. Once I did the Dhamma sharing, one devotee raised a question. Bhante, how do you say that humans' world is more comfortable or the better than the animal world? Because as an instance, she elaborated that Queen Elizabeth's dog. Right? Because while some people in the human realm, human society, they are maintaining very difficult lifestyle because of the poverty, that dog is having a very luxurious life in an AC room, right? Having consumed so many, good food and whatever, even the medicines like that. So how do you say that human realm is more higher than the animal realm? What can be the reason? Because even though since they have done unwholesome deeds, because of that, they had been born in the animal realm, since they have practiced generosity, they have been born in such kind of higher status even in the animal realm. So the doing wholesome is something like practice in wholesome or unwholesome is something like kusala, right? Punya is something different. That depends on how we behave, like how we do certain good and meritorious deeds. Therefore, even though because of a previous karma, even though we just had been born in such kind of animal realm or wherever, just to maintain a good and comfort life equivalent to that kind of a dog, right? Should try to practice these meritorious deeds whatever we can, whenever we can. Then it would be beneficial for us to have a very good life hereafter and our sansaric existence. So therefore, with that word, we will conclude today's Dhamma sharing. We will have few minutes for Q&A session.
Just want to know, it's what you have spoken about karma, right? Whatever one does, it gets translated into the next life. How does it get carried over to the next life? Is it in the mind of the being, as what he does and all that, it's kind of impresses in the mind, and that's why it gets carried over and follow the being to the next life? Or is there another, I suppose you can say God, or not a good thing to say here, but another independent control, that kind of also tracks being from life to life?
I think that is a very good question. You are asking how we can continue our, or the whatever the mental skills to the next life, right? So as instance, you can see how the Buddhas practice perfections, right? So the practice in perfection is not for one life, one particular life. It is going on for millions of years, different lives. So as instance, there are certain characters who are having very keen knowledge, right? Even in their infant childhood, they have keen knowledge. They have not educated much. They did not have time to educate because of they are still child. But in their sansaric existence, they have practiced such kind of knowledge and the things like that. So, according to Buddhism, vijnana, consciousness, is a kind of the man is formed by adding both nama rupa, right? Nama and rupa. Rupa means the form, our physical body. Nama includes like, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana in that way. So the Vijnana is something like, consciousness. So what we practice habitually would be taken into hereafter. That doesn't completely remove from this life itself. Otherwise, never Buddhas be born in the universe. If everything finish and ends with the death, no one can become a Buddha. Because practicing something continuously during the life, not only for this life, but also during the sansaric existence, that would be the reason for practicing perfections more and more. In the same way, the knowledge or what we learn, what we read, what we study would follows us like, the kusala and wholesome. So that would be a reason for having such kind of situations in hereafter. So even the education in Buddhism says yava nibbana pattiya, right? It is not until the end of this life. Until attaining nibbana, we practice them. So that follows us during our sansaric life with the consciousness, vijnana.
Bhante, can I ask two questions?
Yeah.
One is that, you see, like you say, karma is based on our volitions. Okay? So, you got lots of life, you got lots of volition. So, which volition will, for a good rebirth, how would it happen? Which one will come first? Which one will come second? That kind of thing. Of course, we don't believe in there's a creator. So, which one will come first? And which one will be postponed? And question one. Question two, follow up to the question is that these volitions, after let's say the effect has happened, can it be repeated? Is there any carry forward kind of thing? When you good have a wholesome act, can it be repeated, getting a good rebirth again, or once you got a good rebirth, that thing has expired? Similarly for negative, that kind of thing. For knowledge-wise, like Bhante said, is true. You learn, you keep going. But for certain action, and the result has come, so will it happen again?
Okay, good, very good questions. The first one is, why I'm saying, the Buddha is saying that Kamma means the volition, because the volition creates the mental thoughts and it give orders to us, right? Because of the volitions, our physical body is getting put in action. So that is why, since Buddhism says Kamma, mind is forerunner, mind gives the orders to our physical body. So that is why it is a kind of definition to what the Kamma is. And if we do, as I mentioned, if we work with wholesome volitions, in Abhidhamma says, Kusala Chetana, Somanasa Sahagata, right? Somanasa Sahagata Jnana Sampayukta. There should be like, the wholesome and something like knowledgeable. So if such kind of volitions would lead a very good life. And the Domanasa Sahagata Jnana Viprayukta, it means that the unwholesome based volitions and without having a proper understanding. So such kind of volitions would lead us to do bad. So the thing is that what will decide next birth? According to Buddhism, it is clearly mentioned that final concomitants, volition, would be decided next birth. Where you are born, whether it is human realm, divine realm, or the hungry ghost realm, that will be decided based on the final consciousness when we are in the deathbed. You suppose that, as an instance, when we are in the deathbed, we just remind all the things what we have done in our lifestyle, right? If we have done more good and meritorious deed, that will come into our mind rather than what we have done unwholesome or bad things. That is why we should try to maintain a very good deposit of merits and wholesome, along with your bank account with money. On one side, we try to be a very wealthy person with our material or physical things. Simultaneously, we should try to upgrade and do so many meritorious deeds, so that reminding us in the final deathbed.
Is the last moment of thoughts the only criteria, or is there any other criteria?
Yeah, basically, based on that, one can be born in next birth will be decided. As instance, King Kosala's chief queen, Mallika, right? She was born in the Avici. Avici is the worst hell out of the 8 hells according to Buddhism. She was born there, but she did a very great meritorious deed entirely in that particular birth. Then king wanted to know which divine world King Mallika was born. But when the king comes, Buddha earlier identified that king comes to raise this question. If I say that Mallika is being born in the Avici, the king would be disappointed, because such a lady who have done such kind of meritorious deed can be born in such woeful places. Then Buddha did the determination that the king would forget that question for 7 days. Every day comes, but forget the question and go back. Come again, go back. After the 7 days, now everything over, she was born in the heavenly places. Then the king came and raised the question. Buddha said, she is in a heaven. Then king raised another question. Bhante, the Buddha, I came 7 days to raise that question. I forgot it. What is the secret behind that? Then the Buddha said, that is my own, determination. She had been born in such kind of woeful places for 7 days. This human world 7 days can be in the hell realm a kind of a second, a short time. But the king asked, what is the reason? Then said that she had come to her mind a previously unwholesome deed as the final volition concomitant. That is why she had been born there. After completing, that bad karma, again, good karma came into effect. As a result, she had been born in such a pleasureful place. So there are so many stories like that. Your second question was whether we can bring what we do to the next life. We cannot bring any material things. We all know, right? If can, everyone will bring their wives, husbands, children, property, vehicles and everything. Otherwise, no need to do some dummies to allow them to bring over there. We cannot do. But Buddha says that only unwholesome and wholesome deeds we have done, thoughts we have done, that can be taken to the next life. It is something like psychologically, it is not something like physical reality, but it is something like, the psychologically we can bring them as kusala and akusala, which will be beneficial to hereafter. It is very difficult to explain by the words, right?
But will they expire one day?
No,
they
it
will
doesn't expire.
It doesn't expire.
No,
Although,
because one example like sometimes they can be effective next birth. Otherwise, whatever the birth in sansaric existence. So, it will not expire. Don't worry about that. Some people raise that when we transfer or dedicate merits to the others, do we need to, if we dedicate all the merit we do, our merit account would be lost. It will happen? No. Why? It looks like, you suppose that there is a candle lit. From one candle, we can light so many candles, right? But still the first one is still illuminating. In the same way, when we dedicate merits, it will be doubled and tripled, right? Therefore, don't worry about that. Just try to dedicate in merit. Just try to dedicate all. You will get further in return. That is why Pattidana, Pattanumodana comes under that. In that way, no merits would be ceased, even this life or whatever. They will be continued with you until attaining Nibbana. That is what the Buddhas practiced as perfections or paramitas.
If somebody does something bad, right, or unwholesome deed, but he's raised in an environment where that is considered normal, acceptable, or maybe even encouraged, right? Then, so he doesn't feel guilty about it.
I'll say like this kind of...
So in that case, does he actually get a bad karma or no? It's fine,
As an instance, you suppose that you are working in military, right? In such a situation, there are certain secrets to be remain without disclosing, right? In such a situation, when you see something, when you know something, you try to say to hide that. It comes under telling lies. If you see something and you don't want to disclose, it comes under telling lies. Then, if you are doing such kind of profession, you cannot disclose all the things. Then what will happen? You do that thing not because of the intention of keeping them hide as telling lies, but you try to maintain without disclosing them with the intention of benefit of many. That is why many questions are raised about whether Buddhism against the war or not, right? Even someone can argue this question, but if we do something consciously with the intention of doing killing or whatever, that would be harmful. But there are certain situations we have to do something. In Buddhism, there is a concept like samyak prayoga. There are certain situations we cannot avoid. Then it can be considered as neutral because we do that without intention. Like, as another example, if you suppose that you are a farmer who is engaged in cultivating, right? Then you just wanted to clean the environment. Then you have to lift the stuff, so the garbage is collected. There may be insects inside. Can you remove all one and one? Each other cannot, right? Then what you think is, even in our ancestors practice like that. Before lighting the garbage or the whatever stuffs they collected, they try to think that I am doing this not with the intention of killing anyone else, but so that doing this my cultivation to treat my family. If we do in that positive sense, that cannot be considered as such a bad work. So everything depends on our volition, chetana. So then, if you have to do something like that, if you are not able to avoid that because of your job or whatever the bondage you have, don't think too much about that. Just try to think in general. Finally, because of the practicing of the Dhammadana, so this is called Dhammadana series, right? Dhammadana is the giving or the opportunity to listen listen Dhamma is excels all other generosity, because we give light through giving Dhamma talks. We just show how to do one's own life, this life and hereafter, very peaceful one, through these Dhamma sharings. That is why Buddhist Maha Vihara always dedicate to share these missionary activities by giving you chance by inviting different scholarly and Dhamma missionary monks who are living all over the world. So therefore, that is a great meritorious deed. Because of that, may all of you be well and happy. May your life be free from suffering and free from danger, free from all the calamities, diseases or whatever. May all of us be able to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana one day. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.